Well, that didn't take long. You think about it. Trump announced he was running again, like what, 21, 22 hours ago, and MoveOn.org already sent out marching orders how to hate on him. I mean, think about that. I had a couple of conservative friends who reached out to me through email saying that they got emails from MoveOn.org and they're conservatives. They shouldn't be on their list. But anyway, Louis and Gina, thank you for notifying me of this because I'm not on their list. But it just goes to show you that the left is still terrified of Donald Trump. Now, if you stick with me through this video, I'm not only going to read some of the garbage lies that MoveOn put out to millions of Americans, but I'm going to get into exactly why they hate Trump so much and why they hate you if you're a Trump supporter. All right, so stick with me through this video. Hey, everyone, welcome back. MoveOn.org was launched in September of 1998. They got their name because they were trying to move on from the Clinton-Monica Lewinsky affair. It sucked for them. So they're just another Soros-funded left-wing group that's hell-bent on getting enough Democrats elected so they can actually destroy the country. So let's take a look. Take a look at the funding they have. So MoveOn has received financial report from numerous leftist organizations. This is from Discover the Networks, which is a great site, including the Compton Foundation, George Soros' Open Society Institute, the Sheffa Fund, Stern Family Fund, Stephen and Michelle Kirsch Foundation, and the Tides Foundation. Now, these are groups, right? These are groups that you could, like the Tides Foundation, you can send money anonymously to them if you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire, and you don't want people to know you're a coward and don't want people to know that you're trying to subvert the country. And they'll dish it out to your favorite source there. Okay, so MoveOn.org, immediately, they had it in the queue. They sent out a notice to their members and some conservatives as well. I have some conservative friends, like I said, that got this sent to them, and they sent it to me. And it says, the headline is, "Keep Donald Trump off Twitter and Facebook." So it goes on and says, Donald Trump uses social media to spread lies and undermine democracy and incite violence. Do you think they have an ounce of evidence to prove that? Saying things you don't like is not inciting violence. Oh, they'll point to January 6th, January 6th insurrection, but Donald Trump's words, "And now we will march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol to let our voices be heard," did not incite violence. In fact, the violence was breaking out while Trump was still speaking. Okay? In fact, they say he did nothing to stop it. Well, he put out a video on social media asking for calm. He asked the people to go home, to respect law enforcement, because we're the party of law and order, he said. Okay, but Twitter and Facebook, the people that MoveOn is trying to suck up to now, they censored his video. They took it off because they didn't want anybody to know he called for calm, because I believe that the Democrats were doing things then to set up a riot. They wanted something bad to happen. We've gone through that in the past. So the hit piece continues. Facebook and Twitter were right to remove him from their platforms for the good of public safety. They owe it to their users, advertisers, there's a sting, and to the public good to stand by that decision. In other words, the former president does not have First Amendment right to free speech, because we're Marxists. We don't give out free speech. It says, don't give Trump back the platform to promote hate and violence. He's not the one promoting hate, and these people are not serious. Okay? No. They were not right to remove him from the platforms. Marxists throughout history have always won arguments only by silencing the opposition. This is what the purge of social media is all about. And it's why Twitter was purchased by Elon Musk. They'll never learn, okay? So it goes on with a bunch more radical stuff. What's funny is that if Trump were allowed back on Facebook and Twitter, he's already said he has no desire, because he has his own social media, Truth Social, which is doing fine. Okay, despite what they're all saying, it's doing fine. It's doing fantastic, as a matter of fact. Okay, but he should be allowed to have a campaign on there. If he's campaigning, he should be allowed to have a campaign account on those platforms. Do we either believe in democracy and free speech like they tell us they do, or we do not? So it goes on with a bunch of other garbage that's wholly untrue. But I'd like to get into why they're so afraid of him. So they call him a dictator. What did Trump actually do during his 4 years that he would be a dictator? Was it lowering taxes for everyone across the board? With the highest tax savings among the lowest wage earners? That's true. Look it up. All right. The lower brackets of wage earners among the poorer and middle class, lower middle class, they made out best, higher percentage. Was it the endless amount of regulations that Trump cut? I know Democrats yawn when they hear about cutting regulations, but it was because of those regulations that small businesses across the country were freed up. Okay? It all matters. Now, maybe they hate him because of his ending and the beginning of ending the forever wars in the Middle East. All right, where we sent people in Treasury to go to die. Okay? I don't know. Maybe it was the thousands of troops that Trump brought home back to their families, because it's hard to send billions of dollars in troops overseas when you don't have endless wars going on, right? Could it be that he lowered the funding for unelected international bodies that hate our guts? Like removing the funding for the lying World Health Organization that covered up the COVID fiasco for China? All right. And how about when he pulled us out of the absolutely worthless Paris Climate Accord? All right. In fact, that Paris climate deal would have done nothing but cost us millions and millions of American jobs and billions of our tax dollars. Okay? Could it be that he told European nations that they had to start paying their fair share for NATO? Because the United States was funding, what was it, like 80-some%? All right? Is that why they hate him? They called him a dictator. He said, hey, pay your fair share. You know, you're supposed to pay, you're not. We're paying it. That makes him a dictator? Or how about where he defunded the UN programs because many of them are anti-American? And so we were spending all our money on anti-American causes that are by the wholly corrupt United Nations. More corrupt than our Congress, if you can believe that. Does the left hate Trump for the Opportunity Zone programs that he created for impoverished neighborhoods? I mean, dictators truly love serving the poor, right? Was it that he passed real prison reform for the first time in decades, where he gave low-level, nonviolent inmates a second chance in the First Step Act? You remember that? Or maybe it was the Trump-backed sentencing reform bills that shortened mandatory minimums. We know how the Democrats love to incarcerate Black Americans for low-level, nonviolent crimes for a very long time. Remember when Joe Biden created the 93 crime bill that did that, and Bill Clinton signed it into law? You remember that? Well, guess what? The First Step Act is relieving a lot of Black Americans that were put in prison for a very long time for nonviolent drug crime. Or maybe it was when Trump launched a worldwide international effort to stop the criminalization of homosexuality. I bet a lot of you leftists watching this now don't even know that he did that. It was a big program. So then why does the alphabet people hate him so much? Maybe the left hates the fact that Trump appointed multiple gay ambassadors or the first openly gay cabinet member. Could that be it? I don't know. Maybe it's the left that they're upset because Trump deported these savage MS-13 animals and their leaders from all across the country. Maybe that was it. Or maybe they were upset that Trump fought against human trafficking, especially child human trafficking, where little children are sold into sex slave industry. I know. It has to be that he wanted to shut the border down to stop that human trafficking and to stop drugs like fentanyl pouring over our border, coming from China and killing thousands of Americans that the Democrats just don't give a damn about. The elite leftists and Democrats probably hated Trump because of all the manufacturing jobs that he brought back to America. That must be. With so many people working, they didn't need government as much, right? So making Democrats pretty much useless. I mean, if you're a Democrat and you can't give handouts for votes, what good are you, right? Think about all those backroom deals that were made in Congress and the White House prior to the Trump era. Many people's jobs were sent overseas through NAFTA and other globalist programs. Those trade deals that never came out in our favor. And while Barack Obama stood there at a microphone and insulted Trump by asking, what's he going to do to bring the jobs back? Is he going to have a magic wand? And Trump brought them back anyway. And he showed them how easy it was to do. Are they embarrassed by that? Is that why they hate him? They're so damn mad that he allowed poor people and lower middle class people to have the dignity of work again. Wow, what a bastard, right? He's a dictator. Even leftist economist Jim Cramer said, like or hate Trump, these are the best numbers in our lives on jobs. So Do you embrace the suck right now? The Democrats want you to forget all of that happened under Trump. They want you to embrace the suck, the Biden suck. That's what they want. They want that to be the new normal. Could they hate Trump because he gave terminal patients the right to try new drugs that could actually help a terminal patient, but the FDA would never allow it before that? Apparently, the COVID vaccines are the only experimental medicines that the FDA likes. Don't forget the hatred they spew because of record highs in the stock market that went on all throughout Trump's term, even though they were bashing him the entire time. What about Trump getting Big Pharma to match lower prices abroad for patients here in America? They sell the same medicines abroad at much cheaper prices than they do to Americans. Trump said no way. Right? The Democrats never supported that. And yet now they're trying to push off that Joe Biden's the one that came up with the idea. Or how about Trump's effort getting us to reach energy independence for the first time in like 50 years? Something that Joe Biden destroyed practically overnight once he took office and signed all those executive orders that killed our energy sector. Do they hate Trump because he brokered peace deals all over the Middle East? He moved the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. All those past presidents said they would do it, but he did it. Trump kept gas prices within the $2 range. And he had little to no inflation the entire 4 years he was in office. When you went to the grocery store each week, you knew pretty much you could afford the food. Not now. Trump, maybe they hate him because he never took a salary as president. Instead, many people don't know this, he donated his salary every quarter when he got paid to various different causes like the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Transportation, Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Education, and more. Was it because Trump recorded the lowest unemployment numbers in the history of our country, the lowest ever recorded for Black and Hispanic workers? Is that why they hate his guts? Because Black and Hispanic people realize that throughout all the bullshit rhetoric that they throw out about him, that he really does care about the American worker? I don't think about that. And the whole time he did these things, he was beaten down by the left, slandered by the misinformation fake news media, who called him a dictator, who literally made things up twice to impeach him. Trump was in for 4 years, and he did none of the horrific things that the talking heads claimed he did all the time. All of these sobering policies of Trump that he put forward actually freed up the American people from the chains and the shackles of government, establishment government. And for that, they will never forgive him. And so that's why you have buffoons at MoveOn.org already sending out a letter claiming that Trump's free speech rights should be ignored and revoked. Think about that, folks. Maybe that's it. Maybe the left hates Donald Trump because he proved in under 4 years that everything the Democrats told us that they were going to do for America, every promise they made that they said they would see to, so long as you elected them, but they never came through on. Trump made it look so damned easy that it embarrasses the hell out of them, and so they trash him. Now think about all that, folks. Think about it. You're going to hear now that he announced all the same garbage lies that you heard before, but we're going to be dedicated to exposing it all. And that's it. Please visit rpwmedia.com to read all of our stories. You can sign up for our newsletter there, too. The newsletter sign-up form is at the bottom of every article, okay? So thanks a lot, and we will see you in the next one.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars, crashing in my car.